the slave trade was behind the expansion of in our own country, the prosperity of Hispaniola in the Caribbean, and throughout the world. The slave revolution became a challenge to the world as it then was. But virtually all the world's powers sided with France against the self-proclaimed Black Republic. See, our own nation, which had won its independence from a colonial power, only less than 20 years before, in 1776, we fought our War of Independence. And it was over about in 1781. We won our independence. And then 20 years later, when the Haitians did it, we refused to recognize that country. And of course, the reason was, we were afraid there could be a slave revolt in our country. And so we refused to recognize this country as a sovereign nation, declaring its independence as we did. We refused to recognize it until 1865. Of course, that's when our Civil War ended and slavery ended. So then we could recognize Haiti. But here's the worst part about it. Haiti's leaders were desperate for recognition since the island's only source of revenue was the sugar, coffee, cotton, and other produce it had to sell. In 1825, under threat of another French invasion and the restoration of slavery, Haitian officials signed the document which was to prove the beginning of the end for any hope of autonomy. The French agreed to recognize Haiti's independence if it paid France 150 million francs and reduced its import and export taxes. This debt was imposed upon Haiti from the very beginning. You know how long they continued to pay France reparations, as France called it, because the Haitian people had deprived, the French said, deprived French owners not only of land and equipment, but of their human property. They had to continue to pay reparations until after World War II. That's when it finally ended. President Aristide, later president of Haiti, calculated what it would be if the French were to restore to Haiti what they had taken back from them unjustly, or taken from them unjustly over all of these years, paying these reparations. In today's dollars, it would be over $21 billion. And President Aristide, people laughed at him, but he said, this is what France owes us. If they will pay us, we'll have the resources so that we can build schools, we can build hospitals, we can begin to thrive as a nation. And of course, no one took him seriously. France never even thought of trying to restore what they had stolen from Haiti over all those years. And no other country in the world supports the restoration of Haiti to the situation where it would be given a fair chance to develop as a nation with its own resources. And of course, you know, by the late 19th century, the United States had eclipsed France as a force in Haiti. A U.S. military occupation. Most of us probably aren't even aware of this. But from 1915 to 1934, we invaded Haiti in 1915 because they had a government that was not favorable to us. We invaded that tiny country, remained there, it was an occupation army until 1934. After that, we began to put into power people that were favorable to us. And you may remember some of the most notorious. Papa Doc and Baby Doc, the Duvalier family, which tyrannized that country with our support over a 25, 30-year period, till finally in 1986, Baby Doc fled the country when a new beginning of revolution was happening. And then you may, just a little bit more of the history of Haiti. In 1990, John Bertrand Aristide was elected president. This was a priest who had become a champion of the poor, whose life was threatened. He was almost killed when the military attacked the church where he was celebrating Mass. He was the pastor, St. John Bosco Church in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince. They attacked it, burned the church down, killing many people. He barely escaped with his life because a group of people crowded around him and carried him out of the church so that he would not be shot. And he escaped. That was in 1988. 1990, after there had been two military governments, both of which were feeble and ineffective, they had an election. John Bertrand Aristide won that election with 67% of the vote. Even though there was a candidate there who had been an official in the World Bank, who was running against Aristide. And our country, because he had all the money he needed for ads on the radio and television and all of that, was sure that he was going to win. He lost. He didn't even get 10% of the votes. But then, as you may know, after Aristide was put into power in February of 1991, 8 months later, he was pushed out in a coup engineered by the United States, forced into exile for 3 years, during which time there was a group organized called the FRAP. It was anti-Aristide organization that supported the coup government that was brought into place, the military government that was brought back. During that time, Haitian people were murdered almost, well, there were bodies in the street every day. It was one of the most ghastly things you could imagine. I had personal friends who were murdered during that period of time. Two people I knew, one a priest, the other Antoine Ismarie, who was actually from the business class, but was a supporter of Father Aristide and was murdered. I celebrated his funeral mass in September of 1994 it was, just before Aristide was returned to power. That's the kind of thing that went on in Haiti, and it continued to go on until finally Aristide was restored to power in October of '94, and served out the rest of his term, and for the first time in Haitian history, he was succeeded by another person without a coup. Antoine Préval became the president, served 5 years. Aristide was re-elected because he had to wait 5 years before he could run. He was re-elected by, again, a huge majority. But then again, in less than a year, he was pushed out. He's still in exile, living in South Africa. And that's because our country wants to, well, Paul Farmer writes his book, he calls it The Uses of Haiti, how we and other nations will use this country for our benefit, and the majority of the people in the country suffer severe injustice. And the result is some of those facts that I mentioned before, with 1 out of children dying before 5 years of age, and the lifespan of people in general, less than 50 years. It's a very poor country, not because it didn't have resources, not because the people are lazy, no, but because they've been treated with such severe injustice. If we want to bring peace into Haiti, and the people there desperately want peace, it's still a very violent country, and the poor are suffering dramatically. If we want to bring peace, then we really need to work for justice. There's a slight chance that under our current administration something might happen that will be worthwhile and might bring some justice to the nation. You may be aware that President Obama has named former President Clinton to be a special representative to Haiti. And he, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it's a month ago now, he organized a forum in Haiti bringing together people from the United States and other countries to talk about investments in Haiti. Now that could be a marvelous thing, but I don't have total confidence in them, because if you're going to bring justice into Haiti, if there's going to be investment, it can't be just with the exploitation of the poor by paying practically slave wages, a pittance. See, one of the things that brought the rich against President Aristide after he went into office in 1991, he wanted to raise the minimum wage.